Teo, and I live on Garden Bay on the Sunshine Coast, BC. And this is my tournament. So the TTHE Tournament, it's called This Tournament Has Everything. What makes this tournament special is it's a women, trans, non-binary, inclusive tournament. It started last year, this is our second annual, and it's grown substantially, which is like super exciting. And it was just kind of an idea to bring people together and play in an inclusive environment. And it's just kind of become its own thing.
I attended last year's here and it was brilliant. And my youngest daughter, who coaches a U8 team locally, boys, she's playing in all the games today. So that's why, well, I'm here for the fun anyway. I think it's important because it opens up the sport to people who haven't necessarily played before, who haven't played professionally or seriously. Because I've spoken to girls today who've only been on the ice maybe 2 or 3 weeks, months or weeks, and they're accepted as they are, which is fabulous.
So I am a volunteer slash friend. I've worked with youth, predominantly like street entrenched youth for the last decade. And there's so many barriers to sports regardless. And I've tried to kind of stay engaged and be aware of what programs there are out there for them. But especially I find with youth, there is a lot of, I think, fear in terms of hockey nowadays, and I've seen a lot of conversations around homophobia, transphobia, and just general lack of talk and uncomfortableness. There's already barriers to hockey because of the cost of the equipment and other pieces, let alone then the toxic environments that I've heard of, and from parents that are trying to navigate it. So these kind of pieces, I wish there was more and more of in every community.
There is nothing that makes you feel more like a kid than getting your skates on and getting out there and sweating. I like that emphasis that we're playing a game. And that brings people together. And then eventually, once you get comfortable with your teammates, you can be yourself. But it was never that from the get-go. Whereas you walked into this arena, walked into that locker room, and you are who you are. And I love that. That's very different than 30 years ago. So even when I go into my workplace on Monday, if you were to go back 20 years, I never would have shared where I was all weekend if it was something like this. Now, oh yeah, you betcha, they're all going to hear about it, and about what a positive experience, and I think that that kind of awareness, educating others about how, like, hello, just be kind.
Well, I grew up here and there wasn't women's hockey, so I had to play on an all-boys team, and I didn't get passed to a lot, and I had to change in a dressing room by myself, and so I think it's really cool that we have a huge women's hockey league on the Sunshine Coast that's super inclusive and has space for other people, and and then, I mean, now having this tournament here on the Sunshine Coast is amazing.
Well, I played with women growing up as a woman, and when I came out as transgender, I didn't really know where I fit in and didn't play for a while because I didn't know like how to feel comfortable in the environment, or like you know where to play, and so I didn't really have a scene for a while, I guess, and so this tournament kind of just demonstrated to me that there is space. You don't have to think about your safety. You don't have to really think about how you're acting, how you're speaking, where you're getting changed. You don't have to consider how you're showing up in the space. You just get to walk in as yourself and know that not only is it going to be okay, but it's going to be celebrated. Like, you are going to be celebrated here.
So I'm 61 and couldn't play as a female at the time, so there was no choice, but I did grow up in Quebec, so I grew up skating. Although I did have a friend, somehow she thought about it, still didn't make me think about it. She dressed up all in the hockey equipment to go to the tryouts, so they might not notice, but she, wasn't able to play. So then once I moved to Vancouver after university and whatnot, I got involved in hockey. So it's been a long time now, but I couldn't when I was younger.
Well, I did not play hockey like many people growing up in Canada. I skated for years. I didn't play and was excluded. My brother did insist that the boys let me come on the ice, but they stuck me in net with my figure skates and my baseball glove, and I didn't want to play goal. So I didn't play competitive hockey until I turned 40. And then there was a Learn to Play program for women at Britannia, and that's where I started playing. That was about 26 years ago. Well, I think inclusivity is important everywhere, not just in sports. I got to say, you know, it's times they are changing, and it's a good thing, right? You know, as somebody who's always, you know, been out there as a kind of a butch lesbian, it's really nice to see, I've got to say, the younger queers and how, you know, the spectrum has widened. There's room for everybody in a way that when I was growing up there was not. And so that's just important everywhere. And to have it on the ice where you're having fun, and you know, it's easy to tell you the truth, to do that here. It's sweet.
Well, I grew up in like a hockey family. I have 2 brothers, and at a very young age, 3 years old, playing floor hockey and playing road hockey, and then saying to my dad, I want to play hockey. And he said, there's no girls hockey, so I can coach you in all boys hockey. And what a gift that was to just be told, like, I can do anything. So he coached me in all boys hockey for a few years. And yeah, I just felt like there was times where, you know, I forgot that I was the only girl there, but also I missed more representation too. So I've always loved hockey, and yeah, always returned to skating, but to be in more inclusive spaces is healing for all of us in very specific ways. There is so much in the world right now that is so harsh towards the LGBTQ2S community. It's everything to have tournaments like this where we're celebrated and revered, and where we're just feeling like no matter what is happening in the world, we will rise, we will always rise, and we can heal our hearts and our inner child and the community's heart by continuing to come together.
I just encourage people to either try to connect with community organizations, or, you know, if there isn't anything going on in your town and you feel like you would really like to see something, like, it takes action and energy, but there are a lot of people that are probably feeling the same vibe. So encouraging people to just like connect and build things, because this didn't exist, you know, 2 years ago, and now it's become this like really beautiful thing, and I think that that's, I don't know, special.